Everyone, welcome to our monthly FreeSC member spotlight. Today we are talking to Zach Haider, who is Community Development Director at Intuitive Thinking Skills. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you very much, Cassia.
Lovely, first of all, having you as a FreeSC member, but also, having opportunity today to talk about your services, what you offer. So please do introduce yourself and tell me a bit about ITS, please.
Yeah, sure. So, as you said before, my name's Zach. I'm one of the founders for Intuitive Thinking Skills. Intuitive Thinking Skills has been going now for approximately 18 years, and I've been there from the very beginning of it. A lot of intuitive thinking skills has come about because of the personal experiences of the people who now work for us. I mean, at the beginning, there was just myself and Peter as the two directors. We were the only employees for Intuitive Thinking Skills, and now obviously it's grown into a national organisation. But it came out of personal life experiences. So I can talk very much about my own personal experiences from very young, being homeless at such a young age. And then, of course, you get caught in the trappings of that, and it wasn't long before I was going through the criminal justice system, mental health services, drugs and alcohol services, my own personal experiences through there. There's a couple of things when you kind of look back respectively, and that is, I think I could have put an end to this. I could have solved this problem a lot sooner if I had the right skills. And I'm very purposely using the word skills here because previously my whole belief was built around I needed to be cured and healed. I needed therapy, and that's what needed to happen. Actually, it was a set of skills that I wanted. I can't talk for everybody, but I know that's my own personal position as my way of looking back respectively of what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, there was very little choice at the time. It was very much kind of, there was a lot of therapy, there was a lot of key working, there was no real focus on people's strengths and what they can do. It was very much focused about what they can't do instead of what they can do. So I'd spent far too long before I ended up sort of making my own way out, and I kind of almost did the opposite of what I was asked to do. And that was that I started saying, no, I'm going to do it this way. And I found there was nothing out there really that supported people or supported that idea of giving people skills and focusing on their strengths. So I kind of left away, worked in events, and went to a different sector, and eventually I went back. I started educating myself, and I worked in nursing and forensics, psychiatric intensive care. I worked for the job centre, as I say, so I started getting back into the sector, and then with myself and Peter met up, and that's the beginning of Intuitive Thinking Skills. So effectively, when we first started, it was very much around focus on previous problems. I was an expert in myself, I was an expert in the problems I had, and our first focus was around drugs and alcohol service that had become almost like a holding pen for people. There's no real outcome of people getting out of there, and those are the first days, if you like, of where we started talking about words like recovery, rehabilitation, resilience. All the R words started coming about, and we would kind of see ourselves as leaders that because we were very forward thinking and looking back retrospectively of the skills it took to change. So that's kind of like the outlook of Intuitive Thinking Skills.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So what makes it so unique?
So as I mentioned before, the big things I think is the willingness to challenge some of the fundamental things that have been around for a long time, and that was the language of relapse, the language of, of focusing on people on their weaknesses and their illness and their sickness, and taking the therapeutic approach. And that's not to dismiss those approaches, but what's really unique is that we focus on a person's own resources. That push for personal responsibility, it's that question. It's great, we know what you want the world to do about this, but what are you going to do about it? And it's that focus around personal responsibility and that recognition that language changes thinking. And we have a very big part of what we do is about the language that people use. It either makes them feel as if they're victims, almost disables them, whereby ours is very much about sort of enabling, empowering type active language.
Okay, amazing. Sounds amazing. Thank you. So what's in it for the service users? What do they gain?
I think what I find, and I'm using a personal perspective, but also, you know, we've gone from two staff, 20 people first year. We now see 5,000 people a year. We have staff across the country. You know, we're really developing. We're doing employment, drugs and alcohol, mental health. We work with young people. We work within skill sectors. We work in rehabilitation. So we've really opened that remit. You know, domestic abuse. And what we're saying is, though, those people with that lived experience have the expertise to deliver back to their peers. So in two senses, first of all, it's to inject hopefulness, hope where there wasn't any. People often saw themselves, I know I did back in the days, of thinking, right, this is about as good as it gets. So enjoy, make hay where you are. There's no idea that actually there's a bigger life out there, and you know, there's this idea of talking to someone about work almost felt like a threat. Get a job, how dare you say such a thing? What we're doing is bringing hope back to people and getting them to realize, because what that really means, employment, it means your community values you. Yeah, and I believe, and this is important in terms of language and way we say things, I believe everybody has a right to be valued and everybody has a right to have a job. If we all agree with that, then we should all support that idea.
Amazing. So yeah, you have a large range of different activities, different services that you offer to your service users. Sounds really, really good. So what do you bring as a partner?
As a partner, Intuitive Thinking Skills was set up not to be the prime organisation. What we didn't want to be another case manager on top of the next case manager and the one before, where you end up with one person having a support worker, mental health worker, a housing worker, a justice worker. We didn't want to be another support worker. So we always set ourselves up as the partner. Everything we do is set up to be a partner. We are intervention specialists.
Okay.
So often where we're working with our primes and our partners, even medium-sized organisations, they're set up to do the case management, whereby what we do is the interventions, it's the mentoring, it's the accredited programs. We can take a problem like domestic abuse, like mental health, and turn it on its head and turn it into a skill set. So
Fantastic.
That for our partners is quite a big thing, because what that means is most of our partners are held to account on their outcomes. How many people do we get a digitally get out service? How many people got work? How many people stop reoffending? So that's what we bring to the party, as it were.
Fantastic. So talking about that evidence-based approach, you obviously, you know, succeeded. You've grown over the years, and you're delivering quite largely across the country. Please talk about, you know, the outcomes, the evidence of showing the quality of the service.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, as you'll know, each of those sectors measures things in very different ways. You know, domestic abuse is, you know, were there any further incidents of it? Mental health can be a bit more subjective because it looks at holistic measures. You know, how well life's going. Have you got somewhere to live? Have you got your family around and stuff like that? Justice looks at reoffending, and it looks at reducing risk of reoffending. So have you got a job? Have you got somewhere to live? I think right across the sectors, I think people are generally agree on what the outcomes should be to demonstrate that a person is properly reintegrated into their community. And as such, what we do is ask people for very holistic data. So as you see in stuff like drugs and alcohol, it is a database called National Drug Treatment Monitoring Service. Our focus is on those things that matter to everybody. There is nobody ever to say family is important to them, that their personal health is important to them, that their housing, whether they've reoffended, whether they feel confident, you know, if they when I say that is Lots of people stop drinking for a short amount of time, but how confident, how happy are you with that decision? So we monitor those subjective measures, but also we capture hard measures such as employment. Did you get into work? How long have you been into work? How long have you been out of work? So it's almost like creating a data lab that's unique for that partnership. Because we use Microsoft Dynamics, it means that we can give a lot of depth in that. But also on top of that, one of the things that we have done is it's very good to anyone can evidence their own stuff, and there may be some bias. So what we've done is gone away and we've brought in Derbyshire University, Sheffield Hallam University, and said, do you think the same about us? Because we love what we do. Come and have a look and tell us what you think. So now we have a number of reports from, for example, from the Ministry of Justice themselves. We have a report from Derbyshire University. We have a report from Sheffield Hallam, and they're on a range of interventions. So, for example, our domestic abuse. Quite recently, I think it was in 2021, we had a report. And you talk about what's different. What we did, we set up a domestic abuse short duration early help to see, are we affecting things? Are we changing things? And we were able to demonstrate a 60% reduction in instances of domestic abuse. Now, it's common sense to anybody that if you intervene early, the better the outcomes are. Yeah, you don't wait till there's a serious incident or someone's been convicted of a serious incident to help someone. So we always take this innovative approach. And with that, the responsibility is on us to demonstrate, having taken this innovation approach, does it work and what's the evidence of it work? So fortunately on things like that, that report in Derbyshire around the domestic abuse, we were able to work with Derbyshire University and the police, and they referred to PNCs whether anyone had been called out to that address. So that was about as good as an evidence base as you can get. Yeah. So we collect our own evidence base. We've had independent viewing. Also, our partners hold data around our data, which is there to verify. So we said someone's got into work, or they haven't committed a crime again, or there hasn't been any further incidents. So there's some cross-checking. We cross-check all our data with our partners, and that's a good thing about working in a partnership. So you can find what's the integrity of this data. So it's 18 years of evidence in multiple. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. So obviously it's your month, your FreeSC member spotlight. June is your month. FreeSC is committed to promote your services, shout out about it to all the people, all our audience. So if you had to summarize in one sentence what message you want to send to people that will be watching this interview.
I think right at the heart of everything we do is about bringing belief back into services. I think one of the things that we often find is when people have been going through services for a long time, whether it's mental health, and there are multiple sort of journeys or episodes of going through treatment, we can very easily give up and we stop focusing our resources on them because we kind of think, are they really going to change? And then you start hearing language like they're not ready, that kind of stuff. What I say is challenge it every time you hear it. There's no such thing as someone not ready or not willing to change. It just means they don't know how to do it now at this point. And therefore, what it means is rather than sit back and wait, almost like waiting for this egg to hatch, what we do is we'll intensify resources. That person needs a little bit more help. It doesn't mean a little less.
Fantastic, thank you. Zach, it's been lovely talking to you and listening to you about all the fantastic work that ITS is doing. Thank you so much for your time. If anyone has any questions for Zach, please do contact Zach directly. His contact details will be posted on social media and the articles on the website as well. So please please feel free to contact Zach directly. And if any members would like a future spotlight, either an article or an interview like this one, please do get in touch. We would love to promote your services.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.